This is where we come from, yeah, we did it. City on my back, I'm committed. This is where we come from, yeah, we made it. Now the whole team celebrating. We like, Don't mistake the new me for the old me. They can't stop me now, I'm with the home team. No beginner, I'm a winner. Took a couple losses, now I'm cooking, let me simmer. Yeah, tunnel vision, all I see is win, 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 win. This my city section where you been. We move faster alone, but go further together. We can weather any weather forever. A dream team, I done seen things. Confidence is on 100,000. I got family for miles, running up the mileage. Made it through some trials and some tribulations. Now me and the team, I here celebrating, yeah. This is where we come from, yeah, we did it. City on my back, I'm committed. This is where we come from, yeah, we made it. Now the whole team celebrating. We like, Forget the things you probably thought you knew. A new day is approaching, turn the gray skies into blue. I grew up on these same blocks, school of hard knocks. Had to get it on a hard top, took the hard shots, but we made it. Anticipated, highly decorated. The home team is winning, celebrated. The victory is all mine, and everything is alright. And you know how to see things, confidence is on 100,000. I got family for miles, running up the mileage. Made it through some trials and some tribulations. Now me and the team, I here celebrating, yeah. This is where we come from, yeah, we did it. City on my back, I'm committed. This is where we come from, yeah, we made it. Now the whole team celebrating. We like,
What up, though? All right, we gotta do it the right way. That's the wrong one. There we go. That's the right sneaker. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show that doesn't have a set time, man. Spike Kool-Aid for Wednesday, the 19th of November, and that says the 18th. Let me change that. Oh, this software gets on my nerve, man. So I am going back and forth with the software company trying to find out how to correct the issue that I am having so I can bring in guests into the show because I am ready to take this thing over. Oh, by the way, why didn't y'all tell me that Woodward Sports was so bad? It was so bad, bro. So the morning show is like, what the heck? Like, and then I think you only have like one of the original cast dudes there. That's crazy, bro. That is crazy, man. Shout out to B. What's up, Braylon? Sion, what up? Fave in the building. We got Run DC. What up? We got Anna D in the building. We got Patty Grimes. What's up? Bobby says, bro, missing streams is definitely the worst. Absolutely. Jay Smooth, what up? Lions Suck 100. Raw Detroit in the building. What up, though? What's up, man? We rolling with the black unis this week. It looks like 100%. It looks like. Okay, so I did not bring up the article, but I can talk about it still. We've got to talk about one more thing about the Philadelphia Eagles, and then we'll move on until the, did I star that? I could probably look it up. We rolling with the black unis this week, 100%. All right, so we got a couple things I want to talk about. And I think that this week, I think that no matter what happens this week against the Giants, the Lions are expected to beat the Giants. So I got the Lions going 11-6 the rest of the way. I think we lose to the Packers on Thanksgiving. I mean, it could go either way. We could also beat the Packers and lose to the Cowboys. We could, I think we lose against the Rams. I'm going to give Matthew Stafford his dub, and I'm going to say that the Lions, Goff versus Stafford, is now going to be 2-2. Now, what I love for the Lions to go with my original prediction, which would be not to lose another game, to go 13-4. But when we did our schedule prediction or our record prediction, I had the Lions, the the ceiling was 13-4 and the floor was 11-6. So I think 11-6 is going to be what their record ends up being. Is that going to be enough to get us in the playoffs? So I wanted to talk about Ben Johnson as well. Ben Johnson now has 6 former Detroit Lions on his team. Between the practice squad and the 53-man roster, Ben Johnson has 6 former Detroit Lions. I missed one yesterday when I did my video on Lion Syndicate. But no matter what happens this Sunday and the rest of the season, okay? Well, I take that back. In order for me, and this is how I think it's going to go, and we talked about this, and I don't want to feel like I'm kind of beating a dead horse like you guys tend to think that I do, but I think that right now, seeing where the Lions are at, seeing it where it appears is where we're going, that we have to have some serious conversations about the future of this franchise. And I know it's like, well, Derek, what do you mean, man? This is where we came from, right? We came from despair. But so what? The novelty of winning is over. We know what winning feels like now. Now it's time to win the Super Bowl, or at least get there, right? That's what our expectations are every year. And I think for the first time, like we talked about yesterday, and we're going to continue to talk about this because I'm going to tell you where I'm at. I'm past this season. I think that our season is going to end before the Super Bowl. And when that happens, I think that that's when the conversation about Brad Holmes is going to start. It's going to start from most of the media. I think that I've been talking about it. I've been talking about it, man. And some of you in the comment section are convinced that he's not the guy. I want him to be the guy. But does he want to be the guy? Does Brad Holmes want to be the guy? And what really grind my gears, and I was talking about this with somebody off the air, what really grind my gears is for him to go MIA at the trade deadline. But we also have to talk about Jake Bates. Should the Detroit Lions re-sign Jake Bates? Because I find it very interesting that he does not have an extension right now. So we got some things. And Jamison Williams, the reason that this live stream is titled More Leadership Needed, because Equinemius St. Brown said something today on their podcast. I'm going to try to censor it as best that I can, about leadership, how the Detroit Lions need more leadership. And he was looking for his brother to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Equinemius is on the team right now. He might be, but I like what he said. He put his brother on the spot, and we got to talk about that as well. How is it going to be blackout when the sun is out? I had us losing 4 or 5 games. I'm not tripping, says DeQuan. I see us at 12-5, says Braylon. Okay, B, so that means we can only afford to lose one more game. Who do you think we lose against? Really depends on how this and Thanksgiving goes. What up, Will.i.am? What's going on, man? 11-6 or 12-5 might not be good enough to make the playoffs with how tight the NFC conference is. That is a great point, Run. And I did a video last week about it, but I'm going to pin that comment just in case I want to come back to that. Lori, hey, what up, though? Okay, so Bobby says, long as we hit a stride going into the playoffs, we're going to get revenge back on LA and Philly. Braylon says, I believe he should be resigned. Rams lose against the Rams. Lori says, we can have some faith. However, we need to get the key positions where our holes are. You know what, Lori? That's a great point, but can we? It's too late. It's too late. It's too late, right? It's too late to do that. Brad, the trade deadline for me, and it wasn't even about an edge rusher. It wasn't even about an edge rusher, man. Like I'm not going to stop talking about that because I thought for the longest that's what we needed, but now we got offensive line woes, and those have to be a priority because if Jared Goff has no time to throw, we're not going to be able to win games. And we're going against the second leading sack person this week in Brian Burns. So we got to, I'll say this. I think that when it comes to the future of this franchise, the next 7 games and beyond are going to be a crucial point for, in my opinion, I had one of these tonic shots. I think it's going to be more pressing for Brad Holmes. Like I have no chill. Like it's the novelty of winning is over. It was great. Like I told y'all yesterday, I used to make videos about the Lions winning and they didn't do well. People wanted to see because they didn't believe in the culture. Now they do. They believe it so much that there are things staring them in the face that they don't want to see. They don't want to accept. Like, we might have to accept that Brad Holmes cannot take us all the way. But I think you're going to hear a lot about that this offseason. If the Lions do not make a Super Bowl, you're going to hear about it. Will says, look, the Lions will finish 13-4 or 12-5 if they go on a streak and win through the playoffs. DeQuan says, Bears not staying in first place in the division. They got hard games coming up, and now with them lucky last-minute field goal wins come to an end. Yeah, Brad dropped the ball on the trade deadline. Brad dropped the ball big time. Yeah, he did. But people are starting to notice that now. They're starting to keep an eye on that now. But before we go any further, I've got something that I have not done before that we're going to do. We're going to do it, man. I've never done this. But we're going to do it. And you know what they say, man? The Pistons, they won again as the Pistons increased their win streak to 11 games. Yes, I did watch last night. It is so many Pistons games, man, basketball games that I was like, yo, you blink your eye and they're playing. Now, they don't play again until Saturday, I believe, but the Pistons, man, beat the Atlanta Hawks yesterday in a fashion. I watched the whole thing, and I was like, man, I really miss the days that I used to watch basketball. It's a lot different from when I was last watching it, right? It's a lot softer than it's been, but it was great to see our boys get the victory. But there was something that I noticed. Again, I am not new to basketball, but I did step away for a little while because I don't know. For me, it's about passion, and I lost my passion when we lost the going to work Pistons. When I said this before, Robert Horry hits that shot, stops us from going back to back essentially, and I kind of, as that team started to disassemble, I kind of stopped watching. And for me, it was a passion thing, and it's been difficult to get back into it because of how soft the NBA is becoming. You know, I've kept up with it from Stephen Curry and all the escapades of Kevin Durant and all these other guys, right? So I keep my ear to the ground, but the Pistons, and they were bad, man. So it was like, I don't like watching losing. Like, that's hard for me. So it's not necessarily a bandwagon thing. I just didn't have any passion, but I'm trying to get that passion back and see what, if I can get back into it. And yesterday I saw some things that reminded me of the back in the day Pistons, because this is just kind of my original thought of a certain guy. And I got guys that talk Pistons, and they've been tapped in from the very beginning and the whole time. And they mentioned a guy that was hurt last year in Jalen Duren. And I'm like, wow. You know, I watched him play yesterday. I was like, dude, like, this dude is the real deal. So I hadn't seen him play before. And I'm like, yo, so I'm watching this whole thing, and the Pistons, man, their streak gets to 11 games. Let me show you what, let's go and let's make a fade transition. So one of the things that I really did stand out to me is the Chaz Lanier. Like, when he was coming in, blazing the threes, I think he hit his first 2 or 3. He was on fire. I did notice just early observations that it looks like they have trouble scoring off the bench. I don't know if that was yesterday or if somebody's missing. I know it's a couple guys, or one guy in particular that's going to come back. But the Pistons at one point led by 19 points, I think it was. And as far as I remember, the Hawks never led in that game yesterday. They never led one time. But I think I was most impressed yesterday with, I don't know, man, like, it was a lot to take in. But it looks like, as you can see, their starters, you can see what their starter shot versus the bench. And that's one thing I noticed early on, is it seems like the bench cannot score. And it reminds me of the Pistons from Chauncey Billups and them. Remember when Chauncey used to go out and Lindsey Hunter used to come in, or you had those guys come in, man, and it was like, this is when the scoring, you had like the defensive unit and then the offensive unit, right? So I did notice that when Cade and Duren was off the floor, man, it seemed like it was tough for them to score. But I did have a good time, and I was like, you know what? If I can remind myself to watch these games, and I like slowly start getting invested in the game. I remember when, you know, like, I still watch the NBA playoffs. So from April to June, I watch the games. And I like I said, the passion for the Pistons got just like taken out of me, man, because they were so, when we lost and that whole thing, man, I was at this place, and it was a spot in Southfield. If your guys are from Michigan, it was a Star Southfield. It was on 12 Mile and Telegraph, and they had a spot in there, and it was like a it wasn't really a nightclub, but it was a spot in there. And they had all these little, you could go in and they had shops inside of the Star. Man, the AMC. The AMC, it started off, it was an AMC and no, it was a Star and then became an AMC. And they had like shops that you can go, restaurants and all that stuff. It was back in the late 90s, it was popping. So I remember going in there and I watched I think it was game 7. I forgot if you know what it was called, it was a restaurant in there. You came in off of 12 Mile. And if you came in the Star, which 12 Mile was actually the front of the Star. I used to come in the back all the time. But if you came into the Star, what was the name of that restaurant? It was a restaurant in there. It was early, probably mid 2000s that it was in there. And I remember watching Robert Ory, man. Rasheed Wallace left him open. He hits the shot, and that pretty much crushed our dreams, man. And from that point on, I've kind of become disconnected with the Pistons. But I see myself getting involved again. I just got to make time to watch the games. But what I do like is I watch so much NFL. It's like, yo, these games go by fast. I mean, NFL can take, three hours and 15 minutes. These games are over in 2 hours, so it was great. So, but the Pistons, man, 11 in a row, still in the first seed in the conference. I mean, this is a team 2 years ago that lost 28 straight. Fired their coach. This is crazy, man. It's good to see, though. It is good to see. Watched them boys play last night, and it was good to see, man. Let me know your thoughts on the Detroit Pistons, man. I don't know. What do we call these Pistons? What's the name of these Pistons? You had the bad boys, then you had the going to work. What is the name of these Pistons? I'm sure they got one. Okay, so you know who Jalen reminds me of just by his body type? He was a former Detroit Piston. That's too vague. Okay, what former Detroit Piston does he kind of remind you of from his body type? And it was specifically the way he was moving yesterday. Hold on. Oh, man, I can tell I'm not well. Wow. I can tell I'm not 100%, man, because I just started sweating. Drummond. Hey, Detroit's. Hey, you know what? Hey, Dylan, you know what, bro? You know what, the defense, I peeped that out too. If I had the time, I would really do it. Brad did really go into hiding when have we not heard from him this long since he been here? You know what? That's a good point. Because in 2021, he came out, right? Or did we see him or did we just see Sheila? No, in 2021, no, we didn't trade anybody in 2021. So I don't know. Oh my God. Remember when the Pistons drafting Darko Milicic? Bro, that's crazy. And you know what's funny is I was watching Darko and I wanted him to be good because I love Joe Dumars. And I'm like, Joe, that was Joe Dumars' decision. And I love Joe and I didn't want Joe to be wrong. And I'm like, yo, this guy never looked good, ever. Darko, it was crazy, bro. That was insane. Hey, Darko got a chip, though. Bad Boys 3. I watched the Pistons for years, but I am a huge, Stephen Curry. Who's not a fan of him? There was Big Boy, Tokyo Buffet, and some sushi inside Star. No, okay, yeah, but what was the name of the spot? We took a cancer patient in the second round. That speaks volumes. Hey, you know what, Dylan? I was watching yesterday, and I was like, you know what, Derek? What if you try to get season tickets, bro? To the Pistons. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much they are, but I am going to try. I've never been inside of Little Caesars Arena. My wife just went not too long ago. No, she said Brandy and Monica are coming, and they're going to be at Little Caesars or something like that. No, New Edition. New Edition and Boyz II Men and them. They're coming in February, and they're going to be at Little Caesars, man. I'm like, what? Okay, those are my people. But the Pistons used to affect my mood when they lost. I lost so hard that I stopped watching them for a bit, but happy we back. I've never been to that arena. Pistons actually chose right in 2021, drafting Cade over Green. I saw the Pistons in 2023 at the Eastern Conference Finals. Wow. Tactical starters, is that it, bro? Was that it? Was it starters, bro? I don't know. I think that was later. I thought that was later. Braylon says they're not that expensive. Kay Cunningham is a really good point guard. Yeah, I saw him. He was clutch yesterday. He was clutch yesterday, man. It was good to see. I was like, okay. And the game, it didn't seem too soft yesterday. But I'm like, yo, look, I haven't watched the NBA like that in so long that I wasn't even paying attention that it was lady refs in the NBA. I'm like, okay, diversity, equal opportunity. All right. So Saturday, hopefully I can set aside some time. Saturday games are hard, man, because you got college, then you have, spending time with the family, but they play at 8, so we shall see. All right, so let's talk about this. We actually got a superstar on the Pistons, and he's not even in his prime yet. Who we talking about? We talking about Duran or Cade? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I was like, dog, I said, this dude is the real deal. Here's who he reminds me of. In like his prime, he reminds me of Chris Webber. He moves like Chris Webber. All right, let's talk some Lions. All right. So I wanted to have a conversation. And again, I don't want to feel like I'm dumping on this guy. But at the same time, I feel like that we're going to need something. We're going to need some answers. And we did a segment yesterday. I put up a poll about you have to choose one. Dan Campbell or Brad Holmes, who are you picking? And out of the 30 votes we had, 35 votes, the majority said Dan Campbell. Why is that? Why did we choose Dan Campbell over Brad Holmes? Right? Only you can answer that. But I think that this year we're going to see a change in the temperature of how people are looking at Brad Holmes. Because you run, and so let's have this discussion. All right, so we've been talking a lot about Brad Holmes and his lack of addressing the media at the trade deadline, his lack of making a move at the trade deadline. And we spoke yesterday about how we needed an offensive lineman. We could have traded for one. We could have traded for, in 2023, you traded for a receiver we didn't need. But in 2025, when our offensive line, forget the defensive line, I can keep dreaming, but you traded for a guy, you could have used an offensive lineman, but you didn't make that trade. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. And I've been watching media. I've been watching Detroit Lions content creators. I've been watching the national media. And I think that the temperature is starting to change. The temperature in the room of Brad Holmes is starting to change. Now, me personally, I think Dan Campbell is safe. But we talked about yesterday about a separation may need to be made between the two buddies, GM and coach. We love to see it. We love to see it, man. We love to see a general manager and coach be locked at the, share the same brain. They don't argue. They're locked at the hip. Whatever you are thinking, I'm thinking, I'll leave it, all that stuff. We'd love to see that. But in reality, just like we're going to discuss later about Jamison Williams and St. Brown and the Detroit Lions maybe lacking some leadership from some of their players, maybe it's time for a separation to be made. But the Lions have been built off of one thing in particular. There's a lot of things that they've been built off of. But the thing that stands out to me is when Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are asked about certain people and certain characteristics of the team, what is the number one thing that they say? No amount of talent is going to get you on the Detroit Lions. That's the number one thing that we say, or they say. So in the time that I've been doing this, I've asked the question, is grit going to be enough for the Lions to win a Super Bowl? Now, it hasn't been thus far. That doesn't mean it won't be, but it hasn't been thus far. If you look at how championship teams are built, yes, they're built through the draft, but they are also built on taking risks. You have to be able to take a risk, and not just on a project pick in the draft that you trade up for, but you got to be willing to take a risk. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. We talked about, and again, we're not going to, if we take Jalen Carter, we don't get Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think that, that's going to be hard to kind of justify. But at the time, a lot of you still wanted Jalen Carter. Jamar Chase spit on Jalen Ramsey, which is unacceptable, but he's a star wide receiver. Not to say that he's guilty or he's free of guilt or he's excused. But are you not going to draft Jamar Chase because he spit on somebody? Right? I'm not saying that Jalen Carter and Jamar Chase, that their, situations are the same. But the point is, both super talented, both capable of helping their team get to the Super Bowl. How often, how long can you not draft or sign for talent, right? That no amount of talent is going to get you onto the Detroit Lions because it's other factors that we're looking for. Well, you know what? You also need talent. We've had the conversation about Aiden Hutchinson. I think that Aiden Hutchinson is the perfect kind of combination of everything the Lions are looking for. You have the talent to equal what they're looking for, but they're going to choose intangibles. They're going to choose personality. They're going to choose all that stuff over talent. Is that going to be enough? That's the question. Will with the super chat says Brad Holmes will be on the hot seat if the Lions don't make it to the playoffs this year. He was silent during the trade deadline. Oh boy. Yeah, Will. That's an understatement. That's an understatement. I think the noise is going to, if we miss the playoffs, and I know y'all don't like to have this conversation, and you could be right. There's 7 games left. Right now, the Lions are on the outside looking in. They're on the outside, which means that they have to get in. They're running out of times in games to do that. So right now, you need to be better than the Bears. You need to be better than the Packers. You need to be better than the teams that's in the playoffs, right? And right now, we expect that to happen. And it probably will end like that. As a matter of fact, I think the Lions have a better percentage to make the playoffs when it's all said and done than the Chicago Bears do. However, if they don't make the playoffs, oh boy. And you know what's crazy is that a lot of the media pundits before the season started had us missing the playoffs. If they're right, the noise about Brad Holmes, I think you'll hear a little bit about Dan Campbell, but I think the noise of Brad is going to be loud because you're going to reflect and you're going to say, hey, you kept signing injured guys. Hey, you drafted injured guys. Hey, you didn't make a move at the trade deadline, right? All of the flaws. See, here's the thing. And we go by, there's something that really stood out to me within the past few years, especially in football. There's a saying, winning cures everything. But I was watching a coach, and this was a few years ago, and it was like an NFL films, and they said, he was like, I forgot who it was, but they were like, winning doesn't cure everything, it covers everything. And that's what's been happening with the Detroit Lions for the past couple of seasons, right? That's why think about this, we finished 9-8, because I don't know about y'all, but the air feels different than it did a few years ago. In 2022, we didn't make the playoffs, but we were excited about the year to come, and we had every right to be. Hutch was going into year 2. We didn't even get to see Jamison Williams in 2022 like that. So we had, and the way that we were the 8th seed ending 2022, starting 1-6. So we had all the reason in the world to be excited. Then 2023 comes. There was a phrase that used to grind my gears, man. We're in year 3 of a rebuild. Year 3 of a rebuild, okay? That used to grind my gears because it's like, okay, but you're rebuilding or not, right? Year 3, how many years are we going to keep doing this? Year 4 of a rebuild? Nobody used that last year. And this year, you forget about it. But I think that we are coming off of that peak of 2 years ago when we went to the NFC Championship game. We were in year 3 of a rebuild. Now we're in year 5. Nobody says that anymore. But as we enter year 6 and we don't have a Super Bowl appearance, you're going to hear a different story. C. Pool with the super chat says the Broncos, Seahawks, and Rams have built in less than 2 seasons without 2 first-round picks for 2 years. And you know what, C? That's something that people are going to start to question. And we talked about it yesterday, that the Rams had one down year. One down year. They sold the farm, and they did. They sold the farm for Jalen Ramsey. They sold the farm for Matthew Stafford. They tried to sell the farm for Brian Burns. This team was not going to have a first-round pick for like 8 years. They did what they had to do, and it paid off. And to be honest with you, we've been on the come up, And we're going to regress simply because we're not going to win. We already regressed. We're not going to win 15 games. That's impossible. But now it's a matter of, okay, well, you get to the playoffs. Are you going to get bounced in the wild card? Are you going to get bounced in the division? Right now, we have to make it to not regress in 2025. We have to make it to the NFC Championship game, right? That's not a regression from the previous year. It's a regression from the overall goal, but we have to get, so that's what the Detroit Lions are up against this year, is to get to the NFC title game to not regress. If they don't do that, the earlier the Lions get eliminated, the louder the noise is going to be in 2026. And I think it's going to be one man. I know y'all love the dude. He's done a lot for this team. He has in a short time. But we talked about it the other day about him peaking. The past 2 years, Brad Holmes has not had 2 first-round picks. And the past 2 years, they haven't been that great. And then look at it like this. The better we get, the further the picks go back, right? So we sucked in 2020. We get Penei Sewell at 7. We sucked in 2021. We were 1 game away from the first-round pick. We get Aiden Hutchinson. The worse you are, the earlier you pick. Everyone knows that. We go 9-8 in 2022. We pick in the middle of the pack. But the Rams sucked. So because the Rams sucked in 2022, we were picking 6th. Brad Holmes traded back, got Jahmyr Gibbs. Now we're that middle of the pack team that gets eliminated at the end of near the end of the first round, right? We're picking 28, 29. Terrion was chosen at 24. I think we traded up, right? A couple spots to get him, if I'm not mistaken. Then we're picking 20, whatever. Take Tyleek. So now we're up against late round picks. So to me, you have to hit on those late round pick, that late first round pick. You got to hit on it. So again, this is not, I have never knocked Brad Holmes. Like it's never been, oh, I can't stand you. Oh, this, it's, hey, you have a job to do. Like for instance, we're really going to see what Brad is made of. You know why? He did not draft Frank Ragnow. He did not draft Taylor Decker, but he's going to have to get both. Well, is Tyleek the replacement for Frank? I'm sorry, not Tyleek, Tate. Is Tate the replacement for Frank? What are you going to do about that left tackle? You going to move Penei over there and then draft the. So the anchors, 2 of the 3 anchors on the offensive line were drafted by the previous regime. Right? So we're going to see what Brad is really made of as we go into year 6. And I told you guys this before. If we don't make the Super Bowl, the noise is going to be loud. It's going to be loud. So let me know your thoughts. This is not me just saying it. Some of you feel it. You feel it all in your soul. You feel it all in your bones. That the noise, the novelty of being a good team is wearing off. Because for any other franchise, they don't have the tolerance level that we have. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they want to get rid of Mike Tomlin. A lot of the fans are like, yo, we are tired of 20 years of just being good. I can't be mad at them. You got John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan. They making the Super Bowls, but they're not winning it. Some of them are ready for a change, right? So I'm just saying the time will come. We'll see. We'll see. This year is big. It's always been big. Year 5 has always been big because the better you are, like Dan was saying, why are fans freaking out? Because the bar has been set high. You can't lower the bar now. The bar is only up. If you win a Super Bowl, what are you expected to do? Win another one, right? If you get to the playoffs, what are you expected to do? Go to the further the next year. If the Lions start regressing, it's going to be a conversation, and it's going to happen in year 6. Year 6, ladies and gentlemen, we blinked our eye, and we're going into year 6. We are 2 months away from year 6. If the Lions don't make the Super Bowl, we're 2 months away from year 6. 2 months from now will be the season-ending press conferences. That's the next time we'll see Brad. He's going to have a lot to answer for if the Lions don't make the Super Bowl. What's up? Wilfredo Torres, what up, though? With the $9.99 super chat says, okay, a hypothetical, say you have two players that play the same position. When one isn't doing well, the other is, when one isn't doing well, the other one is, even if it's the same play, why we not using Montgomery? That's a great question, bro. I don't know. It's really a travesty. Montgomery had a higher yards per carry against the Eagles. Why do we not continue to run him? I just, for that particular game, Jameer was not the guy. You got a D-line. Monty can handle them hits. He built for that. He's the tank. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. It's a bad look. It really is. Ross says, right check. It will be early exit of the playoffs again. Hey, if that happens, man, it's gonna be tough. Why we not using Tesla as well? We traded 2 third-round picks for him, but not using him. That's a great question. Why did we trade Tim Patrick? And I wasn't high on Tim, but I'm like, yo, we could really use Tim Patrick. I saw somebody tell me if this is indeed the case. Does Sam Laporta have a cracked vertebrae? Does Sam Laporta have a cracked vertebrae? Justin May, the rapper, is in the building, says, I went to the Red Wings game last night with my sister, and they won. Congratulations. Maybe that might be a thing. Oh, hey, Midwest. Bro, I was just asking that. They broke the curse for all the Detroit teams while going to the game. I broke the curse for all the Detroit teams while going to the game with the wins. Well, hey, we need it. We need it right now. So he did. Wow, man. That's tough. That is tough, man. So what do y'all think? What do y'all think about Brad, man? Okay, let me catch up. Let me see. What's up? Camille says, losing Ben Johnson really hurt us. This offense is horrible. Even with Ragnow gone, it makes things worse. I played baseball for years. I understood exactly what you were saying. Yeah, Rams had one bad year since they sold the farm. I says, bro, that's crazy talk. It covers up the holes on teams when you're winning football games, 100%. It's going to take a couple of seasons of major regression. I mean, not making the playoffs type of regression for Sheila to come to her sense about Brad. Wow. Any injury updates on Ratledge? Not that I know of. Not that I've seen. If we don't make it to our ultimate goal, how long do you see? Ooh, Braylon. Yo, that's a question right there. Oh, wow. Braylon says, if we don't make it to our ultimate goal, how long do we see Sheila? How long until we see her step in? That is a great question, bro. What up, One Pride? Yo, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. St. Brown's left hand, his palm and thumb look nasty in the picture I've seen as well. That's why he's been dropping passes. Well, that would make sense. Need your hands to catch balls. I don't think we trade any players for picks, but I bet we trade out of the first to get another second or third. Nobody. We at that point. But here you go, right? So you're picking late, right? In the first round, hopefully. Just think, if we don't make the playoffs, we're picking 17 or 18. Not making the playoffs is the 18th pick. I hate to say it, that could be career-threatening or ending if it's bad for Laporta. Wow. Yeah, she spent almost $1 billion with no results. But I thought this is what most the Let Brad Cook fans wanted: sustained success. That's what it looks like. Yeah, you know what? So here's what I've been thinking about. Like I've been on Twitter, and after Sunday's game, I was like, yo, I might have to step back. So what I'm thinking about doing, and I haven't told anybody this, but I am thinking about just not posting at all. I'm not going to post. I'm not going to retweet. I will like people's comments who tag me so you guys can know that I am seeing your tags. But I have considered, and right now it's been 2 days. This is day 3 that I am not posting on Twitter. I'm not, because I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to let the season play out and see what happens at the end of the year. Lions have one job: make the Super Bowl. That's it. For me, an NFC title game is not enough. It's not. It's not. Make the Super Bowl. Period. That's it. Think about this. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell were extended after we got the results that we had never seen before. We got the results of winning the NFC North. I mean, shoot, that's what got us our black uniforms. Shout out to Dan Campbell. What happens? We then turn around and win our first playoff game. On top of that, it was against our old quarterback. We beat him. One game away from the Super Bowl. You deserve an extension in 3 years. Just think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Next year we'll be in the third year since that happened. We'll be in the third year since that happened. Now, and they got a 2-year deal, one got a 1-year deal. So now like we talked about yesterday, they both exit at the same time now. You have to get results to get extensions, bro. That's how it works. You don't pay. If St. Brown ain't performing, you ain't paying him. You ain't making the highest paid receiver at the time. If Penei Sewell is trash, you're going to give him the vet minimum if you sign him to the team. Results. That's what this business is about, results. If I suck, nobody will watch me. But instead, I'm one of the best in the business. It is what it is. I'm going to keep it a buck. What's up, Kiera? How you doing? Michigan Sports Fan 2 says, do you think the Tigers fans felt that when they didn't go out and get a big... You know what? Michigan, I'm watching. So Braylon, that's what's happening with me, bro. So I'm still around your DMs and stuff. I still get those tags. I still, but I'm not going to say anything for a while. I'm taking, my original plan was to take as long as I need it. I'm not going to fight with these people anymore, bro. Twitter is stupid. I'm like, I see why I was worth $44 billion because it's just a toxic waste dump. That's it. If it wasn't for all the news coming out on Twitter first about the team, then I wouldn't even be on it, bro. I've had a Twitter account since, I think I got like a happy anniversary, and it was like 15 years. I was like, say what? That's crazy. C. Pool with the super chat. Appreciate you, big dog. Says, Dan pounded the table for Ratledge as a future center. Brad and Sheila question it. Tate never played center before. Really? See, I didn't know that. Run says, hey, Derek, what's interesting is that Taylor Decker and Graham Glasgow were drafted in the same year and played under Jim Caldwell on his last year as coach. Wow. Yeah, I did see that people were talking about, because all I saw on Twitter was like, the Tigers they didn't make a move and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. A ton of people moved from Twitter like me to Blue Sky. You know what? I thought that was going to be a thing, Lori. But like Tom Pelissero and all of them guys, they're not even. But I'm going to tell you what, I might just legitimately back off. I might just be like, but I was growing over there. I'm like at 4,300 followers and stuff like that. And I know, like, if the Lions don't do what people expect them to do, then I know more people are going to gravitate toward me because I've been standing on business since the beginning. The next 6 games are in the Dome, I believe. I think we got a good shot to go on a run. Jim Caldwell never deserved to be fired. Yeah, Jim Caldwell, man, I know Matthew Stafford was devastated about that. I think that's another reason why Matthew wanted to leave, because he was devastated. He did not want Jim Caldwell to be fired. Glover Quinn, remember when Glover Quinn had his podcast, The DB Room? Jim Caldwell's interview was one of the most watched videos on his channel. It was and it was great to see, even though we had Dan Campbell. Like, Dan Campbell was our coach, and I think Dan Campbell is like the epitome of a Detroit Lion. But if Jim Caldwell doesn't get fired, then we don't get, if we don't hire Matt Patricia, then we're never at Dan Campbell. But yeah, Jim Caldwell, yeah, we were there. What's good? What's up? Have you watched Spirit of Detroit videos? And you and him was great stuff. No, I have not watched this most recent one. I know he was gone for a while. Him and I talk off the air. I haven't watched the one, but yeah, we're going to do more. He's actually part of this channel, but he's been unable to post anything up. But yeah, he's actually part of Syndicate Sports Detroit. And as far as Nick, I don't know what's going on with him. I need to reach out to him. I met Jim Caldwell in 2016 in training camp, and we got his signature. He was cool. Yeah, he was cool, man. All right, let's have this conversation. A couple years ago, I was pounding the table like I look like Brad Holmes, pounding the table about this particular guy from the UFL. His name is Jake Bates, and the Detroit Lions, to my surprise, were one of 4 teams to make an offer for him after the UFL season. And the Detroit Lions got him, signed him to a 2-year deal. We have not had another kicker on our roster. Now, Jake Bates is in the second half of his second year. He's not in the contract for next season. And I'm wondering, I thought after year 1 that we were going to extend him again. Jake Bates is 26 years old. And I'm wondering now, are we going to keep him? Are we going to keep Jake Bates? Because quietly, it's almost like Dan talks about him, but I'm like, do they really trust him? Let's take a look at Jake's stats. Second season, 26 years old. His field goal percentage is 76%, which is 34th in the NFL. Now, there are only 32 kickers. I have not compared him to the rest of the kickers in the NFL, so I don't know what the difference between the number 1 percentage is and number 34. I mean, it could be 3%. It could be something like that. Extra points, pretty good, 26, 94%. His long is 58. But if we look, played all 17 games, we signed Jake Bates, in my opinion, for this here. So for 50 plus. But at the same time, the offense in 2024 was rolling. It was rolling, right? We had the number 1. We ended the season with the number 1 offense where he's not kicking many field goals. But he did kick quite a bit in 2027. So I'm wondering, is Jake Bates going to be the kicker for the Detroit Lions next year? From in the range of, because as you can see, his field goal percentage is actually less considerably than it was last year. But he's only missed 4. Last year, he missed 3 total. He's already missed 4 this year, and we still got 7 games to go. Of course, Lions always going for it on 4th down, not kicking field goals between 1 and 19 yards. He's perfect, 7 for 7 between 29 and 20. He's perfect between 30 and 39. 40 plus, missed 2. 50 plus, he's missed 5. So I'm wondering, do we extend Jake Bates? In this point, we're not going to extend him. We would have to re-sign him. I'm getting a little nervous. Jake Bates helped us stop the punt returners breaking 60 yards, taking it to the crib. That is true. Braylon says, I still want Jake. I would too. I would sign him because kickers are like, okay, because I'm looking at this. The Dolphins have our old kicker, Riley Patterson. Michael Badgley, the guy who Jake Bates replaced, is now on the Indianapolis Colts. And kickers, saw what happened to Jake Moody, who plays for the Chicago Bears, by the way, right now. And I think he is actually their kicker. He was signed to the practice squad. Now he's on the 53. I'm like, kickers they're not easy to find. They're not good kickers are not easy to find. Look what happened to Younghoe Kool. I forgot where I think he got an opportunity somewhere, but the Atlanta Falcons cut him, signed Parker Romo, and then cut him. And now I don't know who their kicker is now. But this is all in the same year. So Jake Bates, in his career, I think you got to keep him. I think you got to keep him. I would like to see a little more consistency from him. He likes to kick those kicks that hug one of the goalposts, and I don't know what that's about because he was pretty good in the UFL. But I'm like, yo, what are the Detroit Lions thinking right now? Dennis says, got to keep Jake Bates. I think we do as well. I think we do as well because I'm like, when I watch Jake Bates in training camp, it's like he really does have like that Jason Hansen kind of longevity where he could be around for a long time. He really could. He's only, Jason Hansen was kicking for us until he was 40 something. So I'm like, And the Lions have had a lot of inconsistency at kicker. I mean, remember when we traded for Riley Patterson after cutting him? Jake Bates. We had Matthew Wright. We had, and this is all under Dan and Brad. There was a while that our kick, what was that? Was that 2022 or 2023 when the Lions went through 7 kickers in one season? It was one of the year. It might have been whenever we settled on Michael Badgley, who was kind of getting passed around. We've had stability. So I think for Jake, gotta keep him. I think you gotta keep him. For me, if I would sign him to another 2-3 year deal. Just let him put roots down here, man. He's doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? And let him stick around as kicker. But I'm like, yo, because I thought they were going to extend him last year, and they didn't. The 2022 season, that's when we went 9-8. That sounds about right. I think Bates, kicking-wise, is in a sophomore slump. Yeah, me too. I think we will keep Bates since a few of the kicks were due to win, the way the ball was held, etc. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Jason Hansen was something. He was something, man. But I think we keep him. I think we should keep him. Shows continuity. And again, good kickers, decent kickers are hard to find. We've seen teams go through 3 in a season. I mean, just a few years ago, we went through 7 and we settled on Michael Badgley. So we did that the same year. There was a time that I was making videos about Brad dropping the ball on kickers. We got one. We need to keep him. So I think we need to re-sign Jake Bates. Nobody cares says, honestly, never should have let Prater go when they did, but who better than Bates would be available anyway? I bet Bates is going to be cheaper than most free agents. Yeah, I mean, most kickers are, right? So I don't know if this is actual fact, but the rumor was that Matt Prater, the rumor was that he wanted a 3-year contract and Brad only wanted to give him 2. Again, that is just a rumor. I have no actual fact of that. That's just some of the stuff that you hear coming out of, like you're coming from, different places. All right. So I wanted to play this and let me see how long we've been on. So we're having tacos today. Dang, bro. Yo, this is crazy. It is amazing. Like, you really truly have to have a gift to be on YouTube. If you are going to, this is harder than you guys think. Like, and you guys help a lot, help the, I don't know how people can't read their chat because it keeps things interesting. And that's the whole purpose of people going live is to engage with the chat. But yo, man. All right. So let's make one more segment because I owe somebody a segment from yesterday. So it came out, and this is the last time. Usually Wednesday starts the new league week, and we have to move on to the next week. And in this case, the Philadelphia Eagles lost. We're going to put that behind us, and we're going to move on to the New York Giants, a must-win game for the Detroit Lions because they have not lost back-to-back games in the regular season in over 1,000 days. It's been 53 games, or I think they said 13 attempts or 13 instances where we've lost the game, and we've had to, we've played another game. And the last time that happened, a guy got fired. Aubrey Pleasant got fired the last time that happened way, 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 way back in 2022. How long ago was that? Jamison Williams and Aiden Hutchinson were rookies. Panay Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown was in year 2. That's how long ago that was. And now all 4 of those guys have been extended. That's how long ago that was. But we have to have a conversation. Somebody super chatted yesterday, and I wasn't very clear on how the super chat questions work. So I'll make up for that today. It came out that Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter stated that they watched film on Jared Goff, as any good team should, and they found out and they noticed that he throws a low trajectory football. And because of that, they batted down several of his passes. And the lone turnover of the game was a batted ball. Now, every offensive lineman knows and is taught that if you can't get to the quarterback, put your hands up. And we've seen numerous times how it is a milli-inch, man, a half an inch, even fingertips, deflections, glazing people's fingers, that balls are almost batted down. But the point is that Jalen Phillips and Jalen Carter, I don't know what made them say this, but I'm sure many teams have noticed this, but they came out and spoke about it and said that they made a conscious effort in the 2.4 seconds that quarterbacks have ideally to throw the ball. That's usually all you get, 2.4 seconds. That's less than 2.5 seconds that they knew to put their hands up. And even Dan Campbell mentioned in his press conference on Monday that Jared Goff may have to alter his throwing just a little bit in some instances. And I was like, yo, that's a lot to remember. That's a lot to remember, especially the way our offensive line has been playing of late. But that's a lot to remember in 2.4 seconds. And I thought about it. I was like, since that's the case, we know that offensive linemen are taught to do that. But are now other teams, the New York Giants, who they don't have a slouches as for their D-line. They got the second best pass rusher in the NFL. Are these guys going to be paying special attention after watching what the Giants did to Jared Goff? And what I don't want to see happen is Jared to change his. I don't want him to change, you know what I'm saying, all of a sudden become Matthew Stafford. He's not Matthew Stafford. One thing Jared doesn't do is any type of, he's a locked on laser. You know what I'm saying? It's not a lot of room for kind of improvisation when it comes to Jared Goff. But do you think that is going to hurt, that the Philadelphia Eagles might have brought more attention to how Jared Goff throws the football? Let me see. Nick says, I'm honestly worried about the Giants. A lot of people thinking it's a cakewalk, but man, they play defense and they have nothing to lose either. I keep saying it. I don't think it's going to be easy. Says, bro, they were playing volleyball with Goff. Yeah, and we're talking about some big dudes like Jalen Carter, Jordan Phillips, two giant guys, and they got most of the bat downs, right? But is it a concern for the future? Is that something that we need to be worried about with the New York Giants or the Green Bay Packers after that? You know what I'm saying? Or who do we have? The Dallas Cowboys. They now have Quinnen Williams. Our offensive line is already playing a little suspect. All of a sudden, these balls get batted. And what I'm nervous about, I'm not really nervous about the batting per se, because Jared has always thrown the ball like this. And it is going to bring to me a little more attention because people watch film. And they're like, okay, look at what the Eagles did to Jared Goff. Quinnen, pay attention to this. You know what I'm saying? Whoever, D lineman, pay attention to this. Who do we got? We got the Rams. We got the Giants, right? We've got the Minnesota Vikings, the Chicago Bears. So Montez Sweat. Guys, pay attention to this. Pay a little bit more attention to it. And it's a lot for the D linemen to remember as well. They're trying to bull rush, swim move, you know what I'm saying? All of that stuff. But when you can't get there, put your arms up. But I'm more worried about Jared Goff trying to be something he's not and then being worse. A lot of dirt balls, you know what I'm saying? Maybe some higher arcing bar. Because if you look at Jared Goff, like his stuff is a laser. Some quarterbacks throw really good arc balls and moon balls, like Russell Wilson. He got one of the best ones in the game, even now. You know what I'm saying? You're watching quarterbacks just launch that thing. It goes off the screen. It's up there forever. Trajectory is crazy, right? Jared is like a laser, bro. He's like the laser beam from the Predator. The little cannon. That's Jared. Lock on, boom, it's there, right? It's on a string. I don't want him to change and then all of a sudden he goofing around. If we lose against the Giants, I'm calling it a wrap, even though people are going to say we got plenty of time, and definitely not trying to hear MCDC say we got some stuff to clean up. I don't know, man. I don't know. But if the Giants were paying any attention, and if the Giants are like they're playing for their new coach. They're playing for right now their interim coach, right? So I don't know. I don't know, but I wonder if the Giants are wishing they would have made a move at the trade deadline. Think about this. At the trade deadline, Brian Dable still had a job. And yeah, I wonder what the Giants are thinking now. But let me know in the comments below. Are you concerned about what the Eagles were able to do with Jared Goff? Do you think that it's going to be a problem for the rest of the year? Or do you think that it's not? I don't know, man. I think that teams are going to be paying more attention than usual, but I don't think it's new. I don't think people are like, oh, they watch tape, so they know as well. And, I think they are going to be paying special attention to it, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, but we'll see. Y'all still in here complaining about our top 10 defense. Cordell, what is you talking about, bro? First of all, hello. And secondly, what are you talking about? And then we'll wrap up the show. My man came in with the straight fire. Dang, we already over an hour, bro. You know what? I need a clock. I need to get a clock in front of me, man. I'm going to see if this Glance scroll, if it can do a clock. Because I need it while I'm on. I need it to count down. That's what I need to do. Cordell, what are you talking about, bro? You came out of nowhere. What are you talking about? Games will never get out of hand because our defense is really good. What are you talking about? Like, who's talking about the defense? Like, what are you talking about? Who's saying anything about the defense? Let me see. What you say? You said not you on these comments. Who's talking about the defense? All our linebackers and safeties getting beat up on playing. Yes, it will hurt. It's a copycat league. No doubt. They're going to be looking for it. It will hurt a little bit. Stats don't mean anything, wins do. Okay. All right. Well, listen, we'll be on tomorrow as well. I am home the rest of the year. I have no plans to go to any more games. So I will be home the rest of the year, man. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day. And yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like there's something different in the air. I just don't feel like, things feel different to me. I don't feel like we're rising anymore. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that this year is a plateau year. Like we're obviously not going to go 11-5 because each year the Lions have gotten better and better. They've gotten better and literally they've gotten better and better. 3-13-1, 9-8, 12-5, 15-2. We're not gonna make 15-2. We might not. I mean, listen, we are 2 losses away from not even going 12-5. So now you're talking about 11-6, 10-7, 9-8. Which is a possibility. We lost to teams that we shouldn't have lost to. We should not have lost to the Minnesota Vikings. For the first time, we are in flux with our offensive line and offensive coordinators. It's going to be something. It's going to be something, man. And this year, like, to me, I'm already gearing up for like a retool. I'm going to keep it a buck. The defensive line needs improvement. Only 4 players are under contract. The offensive line needs improvement. Brad no longer has those 2 first-round picks. We traded our 3rd-round pick for a receiver we don't even use. Like, there is no wide receiver 3 right now. So it's next year could be that retool that Brad wanted to call a rebuild when he first got hired. That could be next year. Don't be surprised if it is. So I'll see y'all, man. I will see you tomorrow.
I'm pissing off the neighbors. Whether home grown or imported, we feeling shorted, cause we waiting on our paper. So next time when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City, where we get back on our feet. Next time when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City when we get back on the feet. Yeah, you don't know about the D. about the streets. Cause when you're in the motor city, nothing is as pretty as the hustle. You don't know about the day, you don't know about the streets. Cause when you're in the motor city, everything ain't pretty, but it's love though. Next time when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City, where we get back on our feet. Next time when they ask you where you from, you gon' say Detroit City, when we get back on our feet. Yeah.